Hey everybody, welcome to Living Lamb's Vegan Kitchen, and I hope you all had a great Christmas celebrating the incarnation of the Lord Jesus Christ. Today I'm doing a video, I'm flying solo so I'm doing the filming also, but I'm doing a video of a recipe from this cookbook which my big brother Sergio, hello Sergio, got me for Christmas. It's the plant-based cookbook and it's oil-free and it's vegan and it's also gluten-free for those of you who are gluten-free. Anyway, it's a recipe for caramels. You want a second? Let's put this down. It's a recipe for caramels because, well, chocolate caramels, because you just can't get enough chocolate at Christmas time, but you kind of get tired of like junky chocolate. So it's caramels made with cocoa powder and dates, and the original recipe uses peppermint, like, you know, peppermint extract, so it's like kind of like an after dinner mint, but I didn't want like that much peppermint stuff around, so instead I'm using some instant coffee powder, so mine are going to be Mocha Caramels. So it looks pretty straightforward, and we'll see how it comes out because I've never made it before, so let's give it a try. So the ingredients it calls for, and I'm making a double recipe because my food processor can't handle tiny amounts, so I'm using a cup of walnuts, which they say to soak for an hour or two, and I thought maybe they were saying that because, you know, some people talk about, you know, you have to, you soak the nuts to germinate them and all that kind of business. I don't know. But it didn't look like that was the reason here. I read her section on nuts, so I'm thinking maybe she's wanting to soak up tannins. I don't know, but I soaked them. So, and then a cup of pitted dates, and I've got pitted dates. So the nuts are soaked for an hour or two, and these are the pitted dates. These are nice soft dates. And then, so we've got equal parts nuts and dates, and then half again as much cocoa powder. So I've got a half a cup of cocoa powder plus a little extra. So use half as much, and then for a little bit more. So in this case it's a cup of walnuts, a cup of dates, and half a cup of cocoa powder plus 2 tablespoons. And then I've used a tablespoon of instant coffee powder, and it would call for half a teaspoon of salt, but since we don't use a lot of salt, it'll probably taste a little too salty for us, so I went ahead and used half as much as they called for. So I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon. But if you eat, you know, normal amounts of salt, you'd probably want to use a half a teaspoon. And what we're going to do is I'm going to drain the nuts, and then I'm just going to blend it all in the blender. So give me 1 second. And I have not put my hair up because I'm simply not dealing with food that much at this point in this recipe that I'm going to sweat it. So I hope that doesn't upset anybody. I know it does upset some people. And then here, this is going into the food processor. And now it says you just turn it on and process it, but you'll probably have to scrape it down several times, and you can see how that would be because this is, you know, such a dry, sticky mix. They said it'll go to crumbs first, and then if you need to add a teaspoon of water to help it along to become a sticky ball, you do it then, but we'll expect crumbs at first. I'll probably turn this off and show you then, you know, at the end when it's kind of done. So you'd have to listen to my food processor running the whole time. But let's give it a little bit of a look anyway. So it's been processing for about a minute, and I could tell by the sound that something had changed. And it's actually becoming kind of a ball in there. I'll show you. Can you see that? Is it too dark? There you go. Anyway, here it is. Right. It is. It's a big sticky ball. Now it says there's not supposed to be any nut pieces. And I still have nut pieces, but, you know, I don't really object. I don't really object to the idea of having like little shreds of nuts in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break this up, and I'm going to let it process just a little bit longer just to see what it does. It's kind of hard to actually break it up. It's really kind of right now what it's sort of supposed to be, I think, based on the instructions. Let me scrape the sides down. All right, and we'll just throw it down in there one more time. Here we go. broken up again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape down the sides and process it again for another minute, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the really interesting thing is this. When I broke up the ball and let it process longer, it spread it back out again. So I'm letting it process even longer. So stand by. Okay, I'm back. So I think all told, I processed this for about 3 minutes, and they said it might take a few minutes, so that seems about right. So here's what it looks like now, and I hope that you can see it. In fact, I'm going to move the camera here and see if I can show it to you better, because I don't know what it's picking up. Let me see here. There we go. Oh, there we go. I hope you can see down in there that it's much smoother and that there's no nut pieces left in there. Okay. All right, so now what we do is we pat it, we put it onto a piece of parchment, and we pat it into a square, and then we roll it into a flatter square, and then we freeze it. And after you freeze it, I'm going to put my hair up for this since I'll be using the parchment, and then after we freeze it, we'll cut it into squares and then refrigerate it for a bit. Okay? So 1 second, let me wash my hands. All right. So now we're going to take it out of here, and this is some sticky stuff. So I don't know how easy that's going to be, but let's do what we can. And we're going to get it onto the parchment. Once again, I've never made this before, so this is really kind of fun. I think I've only done this once before with a recipe that I'd never made it before, but I made it for the first time on video. And that's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to do that kind of thing now and again. This is supposed to make, by the way, the recipe itself, which is half of what I made, makes 25. So this should make 50 caramels. She says she likes them. She says to store them in the freezer or the refrigerator, and that she likes them best out of the freezer. But I want to compare what it would be like eating them from the freezer, from the refrigerator, and then at room temperature. Because, you know, if you want to give something for a gift, you don't want to give with a bunch of, you know, I don't want to say complicated instructions, but, you know, if it's something that has to be refrigerated, then you kind of have to give it to them cold and be like, okay, so eat these now or put them in your refrigerator because, you know, if you don't, they're going to be a sticky mess. So we're going to find out whether these are something you just kind of want to make and eat at home, or, you know, give to your friends who are used to this kind of food too, and so they kind of understand that stuff, or if they're kind of room temperature stable. But either way, I tasted some of the dough. The dough's really good. So either way, I think they'll be delicious. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get it all out of here quickly because, you know, it's just really kind of sticky. Okay, I think that's enough. Okay. So now we're going to flatten this out. Let me get a little thing to moisten my hands. Okay. So now we're going to flatten this out. I just put just a little bit of water on my fingertips, and that just keeps it from sticking. Now the original recipe says a 4x8 square, so since we have made a double recipe, we're going to make a slightly bigger square, and we're going to do something like 6x6, approximately. I'm not that concerned about them being perfectly square. Oh, gotta wet that too. So I'm just using my spatula to kind of square up the edges. And then we're going to pat this down. And then to get a nice flat top, I'm just going to fold it over and get my rolling pin. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. All right, so we're going to freeze this dough for an hour, and then we're going to come back and we're going to slice these into cubes. At that point, we put them on a dish, separated, and we refrigerate them for, I'll come back to you with that because I've forgotten. I think it's a couple of, no, you refrigerate them for 12 to 24 hours and uncovered. And what's supposed to happen is they're supposed to dry out in the refrigerator, and then they're ready to eat. So we're going to freeze them for an hour, cut them in squares, put them on a dish, put them in the fridge, and then I'll catch up with you after that. Well, I'll come back for the cutting of them, and then after that I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Okay, here we go. I hope it's okay filming this way. Sorry, I know it's a little bit awkward. Anyway, see you soon. So I'm cleaning up the food processor and stuff. This stuff is really smooth. The extra few minutes made a difference. Remember the first time I said there were the nut pieces? And then I broke up the ball and blended it again for a few minutes, you know, and it stayed broken up that time. It was worth doing because this is really, really smooth. It's extremely tasty, and I think it's going to make good caramels. See you soon. Just thought I'd give you that update as I was cleaning. Okay, everybody, so welcome back. So these have been in the freezer now, I think about an hour and a half. So now I'm going to cut them in pieces and separate them out and put them on a dish, and then we'll leave them in the refrigerator for about 24 hours. And, a second here, you know, it's, let me see here. I wonder if I need to freeze these a little bit more. No, this is going to work. This is going to work. Okay. And then we're going to leave them in the refrigerator from 12 to 24 hours, and that will let them dry out. And then we'll see, how do they taste best? She likes them best, i.e. the author of the cookbook, likes them best directly out of the freezer. So we're going to try them directly out of the freezer, and we're going to try them from the refrigerator, and we're going to try them at room temperature. Alright, so here we are. I'm just going to cut one row of them, and then I'll finish cutting them off camera, because as you can see, you have to kind of take them apart a little bit. Okay, well, no, this will be good. So just take them, this part's easier. Just take them and separate them, you know, a little bit, one from another, on your parchment paper. And then I'm going to put this on this dish in the refrigerator uncovered for 24 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. So I've got some here, and I've got ones that are frozen. I just took them out of the freezer. Ones that have been in the refrigerator for, I guess they're about 36 hours now, actually. And then two here that are at room temperature. And we're going to see which ones, to me, are the best. And of course, you might think differently. We've been kind of eating them out of the refrigerator. After about 12 hours, we're kind of thinking they still just sort of taste like dough. But after the full 24 hours, they started to get their own individual character. So the refrigerator seems pretty good so far. And then I also took some and badly tempered some chocolate because as you can see it bloomed, but you still get the idea. It's hard to temper just a teeny tiny bit of chocolate. But you can, you know, once they're cold in the refrigerator a little bit, so you can handle them without them sticking all to your hands, you know, you can roll them into balls and then dip them in tempered chocolate and make them as truffle fillings. And these ones, I just rolled into balls and ran in some diced roasted almonds, and these in coconuts. So you can do things like that too, and that keeps the outsides from, you know, being all sticky, so you can use them that way. And I think if you use pecans, you can almost make like pecan pie things. I haven't tried it, but my guess is you could. Alright, so let's see if we, which way they seem to be the best. So here's the room temperature ones. I'm just going to do half since I'm trying a few different ones. So these are from the refrigerator, now room temperature. Of course they're delicious because they're the dough. But it seems to me that, you know, they're kind of soft. I don't know. They're good. Here's the refrigerator ones. So these have more like structure and almost chew to them. And they're, once again, they're delicious because they're the thing. So it's really just a preference for texture. I want to try the frozen one because she said this was her favorite way of eating them. So let me try that. And I would agree. They have just that bit more firmness, and yet they're not so cold that you can't, you know, they're not frozen so you can't bite them. These have been in the freezer overnight, and they're not so cold that they're cold in your mouth. So yeah, I like the freezer. And of course they keep longer too. And so these other ones, I'm not going to try these, but you can see, you know, they're just like the dough, and you can see they're just like little truffles. Let me see, I'm not sure if I can cut these. These will have snap to them because even though they're badly tempered, they're still tempered. But you know, you can make like truffles out of them. Doesn't seem like it's doing much good. Well, anyway, All I can say is, this is some delicious dough. I totally recommend making these. They're fabulous. It's a great way to have healthy chocolates around. They're delicious, and you can fuss with them in fun and interesting ways. And I say enjoy them. I say enjoy them from the freezer, but they're delicious no matter how you like them. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. And thank you again, Sergio and family. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.